Once upon a time, in a small township called Umudi, there lived two sisters, Glory and Nancy. Glory was 20 years old. Nancy, her younger sister, was just 10. Their mother had died many years ago, and their father later married another woman. This woman was not kind. She was mean, wicked, and full of anger. Everyone in the township called her Madam Ike. Madam Ike never liked the two girls. She made them do all the work in the house. Glory and Nancy would sweep the compound, fetch water from the far stream, cook, wash clothes, and even help on the farm. But after all that work, Madam Ike would only give them a little food, just enough to stop their stomachs from crying. Even though Glory was always tired and hungry, she would take her tiny share of food and give it to Nancy. "Eat, my baby," she would whisper. "I'll be fine." But inside, her belly would twist in pain. Glory never let Nancy see her tears. One night, as they lay on their thin mat, Nancy asked in a soft voice, "Sister, why does Mama Ike hate us?" Glory hugged her tight. "I don't know, Nancy. But I promise I will always protect you." But the suffering only grew worse. Madam Ike began beating them with a stick if they woke up late. Sometimes, she would pour out their food and say, "You didn't work well today. No food for lazy girls." Despite all this, Glory stayed strong for Nancy. Before we continue, please do not forget to subscribe to us. It means a lot to us. Let's continue. One day, Madam Ike hired a young man named Obi to clear her large farmland. He worked hard in the sun for days. But when Obi came to collect his payment, Madam Ike smiled and said something that shocked everyone. "I have no money," she told him. "But you can take Glory as payment." Obi was confused. "What do you mean?" "She's a strong girl. She can work for you. That will pay your debt." Glory's heart dropped. But when she saw Madam Ike's cold eyes and Nancy's scared face, she knew she had no choice. "I will go," Glory said softly. "But only if I can take my sister with me." What Obi said next surprised her. Obi looked at Glory with kind eyes. He saw how tightly she held Nancy's hand. He didn't say anything for a while. Then he nodded slowly. "You can come with me, and your sister too." Madam Ike just shrugged and walked away, like she didn't care. She didn't even say goodbye. So Glory packed their old clothes in a small bag. She tied Nancy's shoes and whispered, "We are leaving, Nancy. We may not know where we are going, but I believe it will be better than this." Obi led them through narrow paths and into the bush. They walked for hours under the sun. Nancy was tired, but she didn't complain. Glory carried her on her back when her feet hurt too much. When they finally stopped, there was a small hut made of wood and mud. The roof was covered in rusted zinc, and there was only one small window. "This is my home," Obi said. "It's not much, but you are safe here." Glory looked around. It was simple, but peaceful. She expected to suffer more, but that night, Obi gave them hot food, soft yam and thick vegetable soup. Nancy ate and smiled. It was the first time she had eaten so much in a long time. "Thank you, sir," she said with a full mouth. Obi laughed. "No need for sir. Just call me Obi." For the next 3 days, life was calm. Obi went out early to work and brought back food every evening. He didn't shout, he didn't raise his hand, and he always brought something sweet for Nancy, sometimes fruit, sometimes groundnuts. Glory began to wonder. Why is he helping us so much? But on the 4th morning, Obi came home early with a small bag. "I have to travel," he said. "I must go see my people in the city." Glory's heart sank. "Are you leaving us here?" Obi shook his head. "You're coming with me." She panicked. "Is it worse there?" Obi only smiled. You see. They packed their things. Nancy held Glory's hand tightly as they entered the car for the first time. The road was long and bumpy. Glory looked at the trees flying past and thought, even if it's just a cleaner street or a better hut, I'd be grateful. But as they turned off the road and entered a long driveway, Glory's eyes widened. Ahead of them was a huge white mansion with tall gates, glass windows, and flowers everywhere. This can't be yours, Glory whispered. Obi turned and said quietly, welcome home. Glory could not move. She stood at the gate and just stared. Nancy gasped loudly, her small fingers tightening around her sister's. The house in front of them looked like something from a dream or a movie. It had tall pillars, big shiny windows, and a clean compound that smelled of flowers. Obi, is this really where you live? Glory asked again, her voice shaking. Obi nodded. Yes. But I needed time away from this place. I wanted to know how it feels to live a simple life, where people don't just like me because I have money. Glory couldn't believe what she was hearing. So you're rich? Really rich? Obi smiled, but it was a gentle smile. My father owns businesses. But I chose to live in the village for a while. That's where I met you. Tears filled Glory's eyes. All the pain, the hunger, the beatings, it was all she had known for so long. Now here she was, standing in front of a mansion, still in her old dress and slippers with holes. She looked down in shame. But Obi reached out and touched her shoulder. You are safe now. You and your sister. Inside the house, maids came to take their bags. A woman brought them cold water. Nancy giggled as she sank into the soft chair in the living room. Sister, this feels like a big hotel. Obi laughed. From now on, you both will eat 3 times a day, and no one will ever hurt you again. Glory sat down slowly, not trusting her own body to stand. She was still scared. What if this was just a trick? What if they woke up and it was all a dream? That night, in a clean, soft bed, Glory cried quietly. Not tears of pain, but tears of relief. Nancy slept beside her with a full belly and a soft smile. But in the corner of her heart, Glory still worried. Why did Obi really bring us here? What does he want from me? The house was calm. But her mind wasn't. Glory woke up early the next morning, even before the maids. She wasn't used to sleeping this well. For years, she had been waking up to shouting and slaps. Now, there was only peace and the soft chirping of birds outside the window. She sat on the edge of the soft bed and looked at Nancy, still sleeping, her mouth slightly open, a blanket covering her. For once, her baby sister looked truly happy. Glory smiled, but her mind was full of questions. Why was Obi helping them? What did he want? No man ever gave something for nothing. That's what Madam Ike always said. Glory had learned not to trust easily. After they ate breakfast, hot bread, tea, and boiled eggs, Obi called her to the back garden. It was big, with flowers of every color and birds flying over a small fountain. I know you have questions, Obi said gently. And you have every right to ask them. Glory didn't answer at first. She kept her eyes on the flowers. Then she spoke. Why are you doing this for us? Obi looked serious now. Because I saw what kind of heart you have. You gave your food to Nancy even when you were starving. You protected her with your life. That kind of love is rare. Glory stayed quiet. Obi continued, I didn't plan to take anyone when I came to the village. But when Madam Ike made that wicked offer, something told me not to walk away. Something told me, you needed saving. Tears filled Glory's eyes, but she wiped them quickly. She had learned to hide her emotions for years. Obi said, you are not a slave here. You don't owe me anything. You and Nancy are free to stay or go. But if you stay, I promise I never hurt you. Glory nodded slowly. She believed him. Or maybe she wanted to believe him so badly, she had no choice. That evening, Nancy ran around the big compound with other children Obi had brought in, children from the street, with nowhere to go. It turns out Obi had been helping people for a long time. Maybe, just maybe, their story was changing. But Madam Ike was not finished with them yet. One quiet morning, Glory was helping Nancy with her reading lesson in the garden when a maid came rushing toward them, holding a small white envelope. "Madam Glory," she said, "this just arrived for you. No name, no address, just this." Glory's hands trembled as she opened the letter. The handwriting was rough, the words written in sharp, angry strokes. "You think you've escaped me? You and that little rat. I know where you are. Someone told me. Don't forget I raised you. You owe me. I'm coming." There was no name, but Glory knew who had written it. Madam Ike. Glory's heart pounded in her chest. She looked around the peaceful garden, the flowers, the calmness, none of it could protect her from what was coming. She rushed into the mansion to show Obi the letter. Obi read it, his jaw tight. "How did she find out where we are?" It turned out one of the villagers who had visited Obi's old hut had seen them living in a car and followed rumors until they traced the mansion. Word spreads fast when someone poor suddenly disappears into wealth. "She must have spoken to someone in the village," Obi said quietly. "Someone jealous, someone who talked." 2 days later, just as the sky turned grey with clouds, a knock came at the gate. This time, it wasn't a letter. It was Madam Ike. She looked smaller than Glory remembered. Her wrapper was wrinkled, her face tired. She didn't come with shouting. She came with fake smiles and a plastic voice. "I came to see my girls," she said sweetly to the gatekeeper. "Please let me in." When Glory saw her, old memories came flooding back, cold nights, hunger, pain. Nancy ran and hid behind her. Obi stood beside them. "Why are you here?" he asked plainly. Madam Ike looked around, trying to hide her shock at the beauty of the house. I just want to visit. I've been worried. I miss my children." "You didn't miss them when you gave one away like payment," Obi said sharply. Glory stepped forward, her voice trembling but strong. "You wrote that letter. You threatened us." Madam Ike dropped her fake smile. "I made you who you are. I gave you a roof. And now you think you're better than me." "No," Glory said, holding Nancy close. "But I never let you near her again." Obi gave the guard a nod. "Escort her out. No threats, no harm. But make sure she never comes near them again." As the gate closed behind her, Madam Ike shouted, "You'll beg me one day. You see." But inside, she knew it was over. Glory had become someone else. Someone stronger. Someone free. However, Madam Ike was not willing to let Glory have peace of mind. She was willing to fight Glory to the end. To be continued.